5G-MAG is actually the place where we believe the media industry and the ICT world should come together to investigate and unlock the potential of 5G technologies, media services, media content, in order to understand what 5G technology can actually do for us, where it can help us in production and distribution of our content and services. And we would like to really drive consensus towards standardization. So this is not just talking club. It's really making an effort to get stuff into standards like 3GPP standards, in particular, relevant features for us. We would like to lower the barriers for actual development and implementation. I'm going to come to this later quickly, and support industry engagement in order to transition from use cases to real deployments. So 5G-MAG is actually seeking collaborations with all stakeholders along the entire media chain to pave the way for the creation of viable ecosystems. So 5G media is media plus ICT plus collaboration. Now, one field where we believe that 5G could be of advantage for us, for our industry, is actually production, where we expect that we could become more flexible, more agile, and also independent in a way. I mean, acquisition side that you see on the screen right here can mean a lot of things. It can mean, for example, what's happening right now in Qatar, the World Championship. So in a stadium, that's an acquisition site for production. Can be a studio, a virtual studio, which is basically entirely empty and everything is done digitally there. And what is also important at the moment, there is a trend going all IP with might, I might say. So doing the entire production chain in IP. And also more and more, we would like to have wireless technology be used in order to become more flexible. Cloud and mobile edge compute is more and more getting into the focus. And clearly, we also have to have very reliable connections to studio, back home to base, in order to either post-process or directly to play out if that's a linear production or a live production. And in doing so, there's several topics that we're really interested in. One of the issues is, for example, when you have a news gathering situation, so the team goes out to cover a story, we talk about ad hoc and temporal setup of non-public networks, standalone non-public networks. There's an issue regarding the quality of service that we would like to produce. UE onboarding, for example, coming back to the stadium in Qatar, for example, they might have a 5G infrastructure. I don't know. And then there's a production team coming with their own devices, and they would like to onboard everything, and doing their production. Low latency is a big issue, in particular when it comes to audio. In-ear monitoring is one of the most challenging things when it comes to low latency. Now, all that at the end of the day is governed by these, so to say, top-level criteria. We would like to provide quality, good quality. We would like to contain costs, be scalable, so to say, going from small to big. Retain control, be secure, and clearly carbon footprint reduction and waste avoidance is also something that's high on the agenda. When talking about distribution, that's the other side of the medal, so to say. Content providers need to make sure that their content and services arrive at the devices of users, of all the devices, in a way they foresee it be happening. So at the moment that they're using every means that's available, conventional terrestrial network, satellite, but also more and more OTT, over the top distribution over the internet, and different platforms, be it themselves, their own platforms, or be it third-party platforms. And also here, we're going into an area where we are offering more and more diverse services, not only better quality like UHD, but also immersive, personalized, interactive, still short and long formats. Linear life is still important, on-demand is important, user-generated, and the likes. And at the same time, the same principles apply here: quality, cost, scalability, control, security, and sustainability. Now, nevertheless, I mean, going to 3GPP and doing all this specification is an important bit to do, but on the other hand, there's a lot of things which are happening out there without not really part of the 3GPP family of standards. So that we believe there's an opportunity here to bring together global media and access technologies and internet-based technologies, like, for example, the formats, codecs, transporting mechanisms, and networking capabilities, in order to create kind of a, so to say, more or less seamless or global approach to production and distribution of network. It doesn't make any sense to reinvent the wheel at this point, certainly. 5G-MAG, as many other organizations, is member-driven. It's about transitioning technology into applications, and there are basically three pillars how we do it. So we try to, as a sort of say, driving industry consensus by proposing use cases, out of them creating technical requirements and assessing the opportunities coming with them, and then pushing that into standardization by, first of all, tracking what's going on there. Is there something missing? Defining architectures that might be relevant for us. We're also doing profiling specifications in order for have particular applications or use casing being profiled in a more, sort of say, focused way. And we're driving implementation, and I'll come back to this at a later point in time, by developing software and supporting developers in order to create corresponding ecosystems. This is a list of our current work items, the most important ones, I would say, at the moment in content production and content distribution. I mean, I don't go into details here. It's about, audiovisual production over 5G. It's about emergency alerts for distribution and things like that. It's media distribution. It's multicast broadcast services and the like. You're going to find all this if you go, for example, to the website listed at the right corner down here. In order to drive the industry consensus, and this is just an example, I mean, what we're doing is actually we start from use cases, turn them into requirements. I said that before, and architectures. For example, we are working on high-level architectures for news gathering, live production, and music setup. Music setup meaning, for example, concert and things like that. And we're also looking into the regulatory aspects and the ecosystem aspects of the whole thing. Now, the global rollout of equipment and devices is important for us. Also, access to spectrum is very important, just for when it comes to non-public networks, for example. The mid bands are like 3738, in Germany, 38 to 49, things like that. But also the way of accessing spectrum is an important issue that we need to address and understand. We produce explainers, we call them. These are basically very simple documents that focus on a particular topic, and we organize workshops in order to sort of say increase our reach and spread the news about what we're doing and invite people to join us. Here is an example, a list of work items to be a bit more clearer. For example, working very, very closely with SA4 at the moment on the non-public network for AV audiovisual production studies taking place there. The profiling thing, I mentioned that before, is something that resulted in an ETSI spec. It's about an ETSI spec that contains what is called 5G broadcast system, the LTE-based version of it. We're working on media streaming, trying to fix bugs and detection of issues there, and the same for the MBMS work of threat in 3GPP. We have not recently, it's all quite some time in the meantime, but nevertheless, we started an activity which we call reference tools. It's basically trying to push things a little bit beyond pure specification and writing text and white papers and stuff like that. It's implementation-driven specs, turning them into, so to say, a possibility to test, validate, and verify them. And in particular, also then out of this, direct feedback to the standardization organizations. Also, we would like to lower the complexity of the spec implementation for developers. It's an open community of developers, so everybody basically who is interested could join there. You don't have to be a 5G-MAG member to become part of the reference tools. At the bottom, you see a list of current contributors working on very closely with us on this. This is a list of those things we're working on under reference tools at the moment: video on demand with 5G media streaming, broadcast on demand, DVB-I over 5G media streaming, emergency alerts over 5G broadcast, and the likes. And at the bottom, in the blue box at the right-hand side, you see what is on the table for 2023. We actually did a survey amongst members and others, not just members actually, in order to find out what is really in the interest of people. And this is what we came up. So this is really an invitation for all of you to join into this effort and support us in bringing work forward. Brings me already to my last slide. This is just all the information about how to connect us, how to find us, and where to get information from, and the current list of members on the left-hand side.